Hi, I'm Brett Warren. Well, are you kicking yourself for missing the Brisbane property boom of 2022 and still wondering if Brisbane's a great place to invest? A red-hot property market has officially gone cold as prices recalibrate. Brisbane property prices skyrocketed by up to 40% in some suburbs before falling close to around 10% from its peak. Of course, that's an average, meaning some areas and some property types have fared far worse than others, and for some, it's barely registered. From here, property prices could crash anywhere from 5 to 20%, according to some media reports. Fueling the flames is obviously inflation remaining high and interest rates continuing to climb. There's a great deal of economic uncertainty around at the moment, and that's certainly flowing down to our property markets. So why would you be investing, and why would anyone be investing in such an uncertain time? After such a strong run, also, why should you consider Brisbane? Well, for me, it gets down to, are you a short-term or a long-term investor? I tend to favour being a long-term and taking a long-term approach. In the short term, there's greater risk. There's also a lot of in and out costs. Property investing is an expensive exercise, particularly when you're buying properties with stamp duties and agents' commissions, and then when you're going to sell properties with capital gains taxes, etc. So in my opinion, taking a longer-term approach steadies out those risks. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but history would suggest over the next decade or more, we're going to have a property boom, there's going to be a bust and some kind of X factor, and property's going to trend sideways for a period of time. History would also suggest if you ride out those bumps and you invest for the longer term, you're going to do very well if you've bought in the right area and right location. And that brings me back to Brisbane, and that's why I still think Brisbane is a good place to invest for the longer term. Our underlying fundamentals are still incredibly strong. CommSec's State of the Art report recently highlighted that for the first time in 13 years, Brisbane has the strongest performing economy around the country, and that is being led by population growth. But if we take that one step further, that population growth can't happen, I believe, without jobs being created and jobs growth. Brisbane's a great place to live, but no one's going to move here unless they can get a job, and it's only really been the last 3 to 4 years where we've created that employment. There's been huge infrastructure changes around the airports and CBDs, particularly in the intermarine suburbs. The big question, I guess, is what's going to happen next, because that is going to run out in the next couple of years, and there's a big question mark behind that for a long time. But now we have the Brisbane Olympics coming up in another decade, and I think that's going to fuel another round of infrastructure spending and create even more jobs and more population growth. The Olympics is not a magic bullet, but if we can get the type of scenarios and situation we're seeing now in Brisbane, and you've bought in well-located areas where there's low to no supply for property, but very, very strong demand, you're going to do extremely well. So in my opinion, the fundamentals are strong. There's an underlying performance that's going to happen over the next decade, and it's a great opportunity to take a long-term approach and invest in Brisbane. Thanks for watching.